Firstly, probably I would like to speak about the body position. Personally, I would like to see a light uphill position, meaning that the head should be a little bit higher than the shoulders a little bit higher than the hips, and the hips a little bit higher than the feet. This will allow a great deep kick in the back of the athlete, and it will allow to connect very early and soon in the front. Another important part is probably the rotation of hip and shoulders. I normally like to see the shoulders rotating a little bit more than the hips, and to create a nice torsion throughout the body, which is extra energy to propel the body forward through the water. The hips, they obviously should rotate as well, but really only in a functional level, and the hip timing is a very crucial part when they should start to go. We'll talk about that later. When we come to the arm positioning and hand entry, generally speaking, I never like to see a full extended arm, especially in the freestyle sprint events. I would like to see more a position of enter into a long body position to the elbow, not to the hand. This will allow to create a great high elbow catch, and throughout that high elbow catch, we then can set up the whole body rotation until we're in a very powerful position to let all the energy go and to accelerate with the blade, meaning that from the finger all the way to the elbow, so that high elbow position should be maintained, and accelerate that through the water. So I like to see a fairly straight movement, not too much an S pattern, fairly straight through. And once we get to the back end of the point, I want to see a fast exit speed of the hands on both sides. So exit speed combined with a release and a smooth recovery, that it generates the next relaxed recovery of the stroke. That is a very important part. Looking at the freestyle stroke and the arm movement, if you look from the front at the athlete, I like to see a probably shoulder width entry and then pull fairly straight through and release shoulder width again, and then just pull the body with the blade in a very specific position through the water. Looking from the side at the athlete, I like to see the anchor position happening very, very early throughout the stroke, and then maintain that position of the hand being lightly in front of the elbow throughout the whole stroke, which should provide, through accelerating the hand and the blade that way through the water, that should provide a fairly high position of the whole body throughout the entire stroke. I call it as well a bit of choo-choo motion, so it should be nice swinging through like a little choo-choo steam train, and that should help the athlete to create a very important relaxed recovery. With the karate chop, what I call the exit of the stroke, again we should emphasize a fast speed of the wrist out of the water into relaxed forward action. Imagine you have a 20 kilogram heavy hand, you don't want that to accelerate all the way through to the end, you want that to be fairly smooth onto a forward action. Talking about the kick, sprint freestyle, probably 50 to the 200, I like to see strong 6-beat kick action, but it's as important to kick strong upwards as it is to kick strong downwards. The legs are fairly extended and bend lightly in the upward action, and then extend again in the downward action. The foot, I would like to see it fairly parallel to the water surface in the upward action. This will allow you to shift a lot of water back to the surface, and you propel your body nicely forward. On the downward kick, probably I like to see the toes higher than the ankles, so that you really cut and scull with the foot downwards to provide again a great acceleration to the body. I believe the kick is not only there to propel the athlete faster through the water, but as well to provide stability. So an anchoring function of the kick is very, very important as well. While kicking, the hip position should functionally rotate just tiny a little bit and work within that 6-beat kick, and the shoulder and arm action in the front. Arm timing in freestyle swimming is, I see the importance of kayak principle as well. So I like the athlete to get the forearm very, very early, straight away into a catching position, create this extension to the elbow, and while that happens, the opposite side should almost release. So while one side finishes in the back, We want to provide already an early anchoring position on the opposite side, so the athlete then has a steady propulsion forward, left, right, and that will be crucial with the upper body timing as well. Breathing timing, whatever the coaches chooses his athletes to do, I generally speaking prefer one side, which normally every athlete has a stronger side, a more efficient side to breathe. And even in training we practice both sides, but once we start to race, I really would like the athlete only to breathe on one side. The more efficient, obviously. The head rotation should be independent from the whole body rotation and action. It shouldn't have an impact on anything else what the body does. Whether the head rotation has an impact on the opposite hips, that's a question. I think it shouldn't. Whether it has an impact on the opposite catching arm while propelling themselves through the water, again, I think it shouldn't be any different, that stroke, than the non-breathing stroke.